Hi guys, welcome to my channel. We are going to talk about things that make my life easier as a mom on a budget and trying to stay in a healthy-ish diet. I've got my phone here, so I'm going to show you a specific app that I use that really helps me to keep everything organized and everything that I need. First, one of the things that I use is my Notes app. If you don't have a notepad app, you can download them for free. My Android doesn't automatically come with one, so I've got a ton of notes in here, as you can see. I try to keep them limited to just a page so I don't have to scroll and I don't forget about anything, but it helps me kind of manage what I have going on. So like I have a running to-do list, which has long-term to-dos, things I can do if I'm like, I don't have anything to do right now, which does occasionally happen. Not frequently, but it does happen. Some long-term goals of mine, and then short-term to-dos, like things that I need to get done right now. That is number one biggest thing, and then any other like random notes I can put in there so that my brain is not clogged up of its useful working space to be able to process things and move forward. The other app that I use most consistently and constantly is my Cooklist app. So I just opened up the app and it's showing me to update my pantry. I will tell you all the cool features about this, but right away it shows me anything that is expired. So anything that's old enough where it's probably expired if it's fresh. Some of the items in here, it doesn't account for like what is in the freezer, right? I can go in and mark all of that kind of stuff and put in expiration dates for everything if I want to, but this is just the free version, so I don't have that option. So when you open it up, it opens up to your pantry, which shows you all of the things that I have in my pantry. It's also really good about showing brands and everything like that. But if I go into all, which is my top one, it's got a bunch of different categories, but this is everything. Then I can just scroll through and you can see at a glance how much is left of each thing, how many of each item you have. I have a lot of meat in my freezer right now, just a ton of different things. So as you can see, I've got all of my groceries in here, tons of items, and it just keeps going. It does break them down if you're looking for something a little bit more quickly. You also have a search bar right up here, and then it's got a bunch of other stuff on it. In your pantry, if you're searching for something specific, you can do barcode scanner if you want to add something to your pantry. So you scan the barcode of an item, and if it knows what that barcode is, it'll add it automatically to your pantry. If it doesn't recognize that barcode or matches to something else, you can input the correct item by just taking a couple of pictures and giving it a title. And then you'll input it to your pantry, and every time that you buy that item on like your receipt, you can update it to your pantry. One of the things that I wanted to do when I got a quarter of a cow was know how much meat was left in my freezer, because I don't want to have to go out to my freezer, dig through it every time I need to know what I've got in my freezer and what I don't have in my freezer. So this helps me to know everything that I have. I also have storage in my downstairs as well as my pantry upstairs for things that I don't use all the time, or just backups of things like cereal, extra chips, things that stay shelf stable for a little bit of time, so that I don't have to constantly buy them. I can buy them when they're on sale, and then I can just rotate through those items. But I also know when I'm out if I'm going to make a meal with a specific item. So for example, I have a backup of white wine vinegar in my basement downstairs. I also have a bottle upstairs in my pantry. So when that bottle finishes up in my pantry, I can remove it from my pantry app by pressing the minus button next to the item, and then it'll know that I have one left. So I can go downstairs, bring that back upstairs without accidentally buying too many of them. This avoids a lot of food waste, a lot of budget waste, and I know when things are running out, so I can look for deals for them so I can get them for the cheapest price. With non-shelf stable items like fruits and vegetables, if I'm looking for a fruit or a vegetable to add to a meal, instead of digging through my fridge and wasting a bunch of electricity by keeping my door open or my son going in and digging through things, because if you have a toddler, you know you have to keep the fridge door shut. I can look on the app instead from the couch, plan exactly what I'm going to make for lunch that day, and know what fruit or vegetables might be expiring soon or I've had in the fridge for a really long time, and then go in, grab those items out, and make them without the hassle of having to search through the fridge. You can also do it from the couch while I'm nursing. Any mom with a baby knows that while you're feeding that baby, you don't really have a ton of ability to go and just walk around and do stuff, because even though sometimes you can feed them and do things at the same time, if they are not totally focused on eating, it just is not usually very successful. So this gives you the opportunity to plan what's for dinner or plan what's for lunch or look into your fridge without actually looking into your fridge. This is the one of 5 functions on this app. This is just the pantry section of the app. Now, if we go back to the main pantry section, you'll see this little plus button in the corner that lets you add pantry items. There's a bunch of ways to do this, to add your pantry items. My favorite is to use the scan receipt item, because you just take a picture of your receipt and then it scans all the items. It'll show you all the items, and then you can cross-reference with your receipt all the different items on the receipt versus what got into your pantry, and if it has questions about anything, it'll basically show you those items. Then you can approve and choose to add them to your pantry or not. So if you have something on your pantry list, such as toilet paper, and you don't want to keep that in your pantry, which you can keep household goods on this pantry app, but if you choose not to, which I choose not to, I just choose not to add those items to my pantry, and then I add everything else, and it automatically updates. Now, if we go over to the shop function, my favorite part about this is I have connected my Target and my Walmart account. So when I add items to my pantry, I can go up here to this search bar, search an item such as broccoli, and then it'll let me shop at a store. Now, I'm going into Target and looking at what they have for broccoli. Now, if I don't need just one item and I'm actually trying to add things to my list, there's this big plus button. I tap on the plus button, it gives me ways to add items to the list. So I press Write List Item, and then I'm going to add one of these items here. It automatically adds pasta sauce to my list. Once it adds pasta sauce, it categorizes it and then tells me the cost at both Target and Walmart. So I'll add all of my items to my list, and then it'll give me a total, and I can transfer it right over to purchase those items through my app. Or I can use the shopping list function when I go into the store. When I go into the store to buy something, I tap on the item, it will show me generally what it is, and then I can press the little button next to it to cross it off my list. Way, way better than doing my notes app, which is what I was doing in the past. Sometimes crossing things off on a piece of paper, sometimes not. Bringing a pen and a pencil with me. Just have my phone, and it makes my life so much easier. If I'm going to do it anyway, it makes it really easy to just do it all in the app. Then once I'm done shopping, I can choose to add that item to my pantry, and it'll pull up that scan receipt option again. Or I can add things manually if I don't want to scan the receipt. It's all up to you. The next option is the plan option. I love this function because all I have to do is go in and make a note, and I have my entire week of meals listed out. So as soon as I plan out my meals on Sunday, I know exactly what I'm eating on what days. I can obviously rearrange this as much as I want, but all I have to do is make a note. So for example, I do need to change this around because a couple of items I switched out for the week. But on Wednesday, I had planned leftovers, but instead I made a pasta salad. So what I can do is go in and change my leftover day to Friday, which is today, remove it from Wednesday and edit the note, and now it's saved and it is removed from Wednesday's meal plan. The beautiful part about this too is this is just my current plan. Then I have my next week's plan. So as I'm making plans and buying groceries and seeing what I did and didn't make for this week, I can plan for next week what I will be making so that I know exactly what to add to my shopping list. Now, you can link this meal list right to your shopping list and put recipes in here, which I will get to in a moment, and then it will just transfer those items that you need that aren't in your pantry automatically without you having to do any of the work, which is super convenient. But I am not huge on linking recipes, so I just do it all manually because it also helps me to go through and know exactly what I might need in terms of staple items. One of the beautiful things about your pantry is as I go through and add or take away items in my pantry, when I delete them because I've used them up, I can then press Add to Grocery List. For example, I have this whole milk. If I were to remove it, I can press Add to Shopping Cart. Now, I added it to my shopping cart, and it is in my shopping cart. Now, once you get down to one of any item, you can also take this percentages down, so you can move it to like 10, 20, 50, 30%, whatever percentage of that item you have remaining. So if you're getting low on something like milk, for example, you can put it down to like 10% and remind yourself that you have to buy it again. The next function is the cook function. So with everything that's in your pantry, it'll pull up a list of recipes that you have access to that you can make with the items that you have. You can base this off of your diet, meal preferences, foods you do and don't like, allergies. You can also choose the option to look at recipes that you only need certain items for. So, for example, if I have everything but chicken, I can look at chicken meals with all the items that are currently in my pantry. This is really helpful for meal planning, and it has the recipe right there. So what you can do is go into the item, go into the recipe. Once I've decided that I want it, I can press this Add To button, and then I can add it to my meal plan for the week. These are the options to add it to my current meal plan or a future meal plan, and then it will add or I can add it to my shopping cart. Also, if I don't necessarily want to add this recipe to my meal plan, but I want to save it for later, I can press this button to save it for later, and it will save it to my categories. Now, I can have a bunch of different collections, kind of like a Pinterest board, and it's really good for helping you kind of have this plethora of ideas similar to the way that Pinterest works. I use Pinterest a lot for meal planning ideas and recipes. So it's super helpful. It puts out a cost estimate, all kinds of stuff to really help you both stay on budget, stay within a diet, and have tons of different varieties and options of things that you wouldn't have necessarily thought about if it wasn't for the app. The final function is your profile function. It has a step-by-step. It'll take you through things. It'll show you what accounts are linked. You can also invite people to this app. One of my favorite features about this is that my husband is also on here. So he has the Cooklist app downloaded onto his phone. I sent him a link. He signed up, joined my household. So now he has access to our pantry, everything that's in our fridge. He can also access the shopping list. So if he wants to add an item to the shopping list, for example, if he wants fruit snacks or something that I don't typically buy, like he's out of trail mix or snacks that he has at his desk at work, he can add those items to the shopping list himself, and they're automatically there for me to see. So when I go shopping, I can pick those things up. My husband knows that I shop on Mondays and I go to the grocery store on Mondays. So as long as it's on the shopping list by the time we get to Monday, I will be able to pick it up for him. Conveniently, without him having to tell me to add it to my list, without me having to remember to add it to my list, he can do it himself, and he is a part of my household. Like I said, it also shows me what accounts I have linked. It also has a step-by-step of how to use the app. There are so many more features to this app. It's very, very helpful and useful. That is in the Pro version. I personally do not have the Pro version just because I'm still trying to get a handle on all of the awesome features that are available on the free version. But some of the things that the Pro version does include is specified dates for canned foods and things like that. Instead of using the average of how long a food item might last, it uses the specific date that food item has. So whatever expiration date a food item might have, you can scan it or input it manually. The upgraded version also lets you have access to adding your own recipes and a bunch of different features that you can import recipes from other places. The paid version also has a free trial, so if you're looking to try it out, absolutely go ahead and do so, and then I believe it's $7.99 a month after that. I highly recommend this app. I really like this app. They are not paying me to say any of this. I found this on my own. I compared a ton of different food apps, and then I chose the one that worked best for me. This has been so helpful in knowing what is in my kitchen, being able to shop without having my notes cluttered, because as you saw, my notes app is my other huge app that I use, and I cannot have that cluttered with what my grocery list is. And everyone has access to it. So everyone in my household, because I have a lot of people, adults, living in my household, can go in, add items to the pantry without having to tell me. It makes my life easier, makes their lives easier, and no one has to worry about not having the food that they want on a day-to-day basis. On top of that, when I run out of something, I can tell how fast I go through an item. So I can add maybe 3 loaves of bread to my cart instead of 1. I can also do everything digitally if I'm having a really tough day, which just makes my mom life a whole lot easier. Another app that I really enjoy using that helps me on a day-to-day basis to kind of have everything run smoothly is my music app. I have a Alexa and I also have a Google Home. I haven't committed to one brand. They were also both gifts from two different people. And the really nice thing about both of those is that they can link to your Spotify app. I use my Spotify app to play music during the day. So if I don't want to have the TV on, but I need a little bit of background noise, and I'm upstairs or downstairs, I have an app that is linked to Spotify to make my day just a little bit something more to focus on, to clear out the clutter in my brain. If you find any of these apps helpful or have suggestions for any other apps, I've used tons in the past, but if you think that there's something that is super helpful for moms, list them down below so that other people can get suggestions on what might help them. But if you're trying to stick to a budget or a diet, or you're new to a diet of any kind and you need ideas on what foods you can make with things that you like, I absolutely recommend the Cooklist app. Download it. You will not regret it. It's a lot of work up front to put everything in. You have to go through all of your pantries, all of the food in your kitchen, but I honestly think that we need to go through our pantries more anyway. We should be using up a lot more of the things that we have. It'll save us a lot on our grocery budgets. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Check out my Instagram for some other suggestions and ideas of what I make on a day-to-day basis, and just connect with me in general. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Love, Genevieve.